and author of 4 books, 2 of which he wrote while being held as a political prisoner for a year by the gang that calls itself the United States government. He has also written countless articles and has done dozens of radio interviews advocating the concept of self-ownership and voluntary society. For the sake of full disclosure, Mr. Rose confesses that he is a former member of the cult of statism, and for years, along with everyone else he knew, devoutly prayed at the altar of the mythical deity known as government. Having eventually escaped the clutches of that cult, he now devotes much of his time trying to deprogram as many others as he can so that they, too, may reclaim ownership of themselves. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Larken Rose.
My topic today is mind control, but a different kind of mind control than you might usually think of. To me, the concept of mind control brings up the image of somebody strapped to a chair with electrodes on his head and being tortured and drugged and things like that, which is very real, and I'm sure that is a very effective way to do mind control on one person at a time. But if you want to do mind control on 100 million or 300 million people, it's going to take a while to do it that way. There is another method of mind control that is done right out in the open. It's done right in front of us, and it's not usually viewed as mind control. The way to do popular mind control, to do mind control on an entire community or an entire society, is to tell a lie to everybody all at once and keep telling them that lie over and over again until they actually perpetuate the lie themselves. If you were a control freak and you wanted to rule the world, and you had to go door to door, one person at a time, and try to convince one person at a time that he should throw away his self-ownership and his self-determination and blindly obey you instead, you would not be a very successful tyrant. You might make it to 3 doors before someone beat the tar out of you and said, "Go away, we don't want to see you again." But if you can spread a lie to everybody at once, to the point where they don't see the lie, and to the point where they repeat the lie themselves, then you're in business. Then you have a long career as a megalomaniac ahead of you. Now, I know there are a lot of talks about conspiracy up here, and I know a lot of Americans have sort of a gut reaction of, "Oh, you think it's a government conspiracy," as if that's preposterous. Frankly, I think that's a really weird attitude. My wife and I ran a little medical transcription business. We conspired. We spent a lot of time thinking and planning how to make this business, how to make it run smoothly, how to make it so we could make money off of it. The idea that the people who like power wouldn't, behind closed doors, try to figure out how to do what they do, wouldn't conspire, is idiotic. Everyone conspires. If I was a control freak and didn't care about the self-ownership of everybody else, I would conspire, find ways to trick them and lie to them and deceive them and enslave them to my will. As it happens, I think people own themselves, so I don't play that game. But I want to talk about a type of mind control that starts with a conspiracy, but the conspiracy becomes irrelevant and unnecessary. And again, it works by telling a lie so often and for so long that your victims begin to repeat the lie. They pass it on. The teachers pass on the lie to their students. The parents pass on the lie to their children, not because it's some conspiracy, not because the teachers and parents are thinking, "I'm going to enslave these little minds." They just think they're telling the kids what is. This is reality. This is the world. They pass on the lie because they don't see it as a lie. And that is the power of mass mind control. if you're part of the group that's been controlled and been told this lie all your life, it doesn't look like a lie. It doesn't feel like a lie. It doesn't feel like anything. It just feels like describing what is. When there is that type of lie, basically the only ones able to see it are outsiders, people who didn't go through that, or people who escaped it, who can look at the whole group that repeats the lie over and over again and say, wow, that's insane. How could they believe that? But to the people inside the group, it's not insane. It's not irrational. It's not a lie. It's what everybody knows. And the power of what everybody knows is huge. It isn't what everybody knows. It's what everybody believes. And if you can get an entire group to believe something completely insane, the chances of any of them ever doubting it are very slim. Because when you grow up in a community and everybody you know, the people you love, the people you know, the people you do business with, they all repeat the lie as if it's gospel truth, why would you ever doubt it, no matter how insane it is? Now, I want to give 2 examples to demonstrate what the results of mind control look like. In the first example, you're going to be the outsider. You're stumbling through a jungle in the middle of nowhere, and you come across a tribe. And you meet them, and for convenience of my analogy, they happen to speak English, but oh well. And you say, howdy, and they say, hey, stranger, come on in. And you think, well, they didn't kill me, so that's a good start. And you live with them for a while, and they seem rational, they get along, they have some pretty impressive technologies. I mean, it's not up to what you're used to, but it's a pretty smooth-running society. They get along. You know, they have arguments every once in a while, but they don't seem to be going to war with any other tribes, and they basically get along. They're pretty darn civilized. And you think, wow, I might hang around here for a while. Then one day, one of these tribes folks says, oh, it's time. Come on. We all got to go to the volcano. What? Okay. You know, you seem pretty rational. So we all go to the volcano, yay, and the whole crowd is cheering, and they're all doing their dance, and hooray. And you go up to the volcano, and you don't really know what's going on until right before you notice that some people are up on the very edge throwing someone in. And you go, ah, what just happened? Like, was it some horrible criminal? No, you see, the tribesfolk explained to you, you see, the god of the volcano, he insists that we sacrifice a virgin to him every full moon. So we do. And he takes care of us, and he makes it so our crops grow, and we don't have diseases and things like that. And so you know, trying not to offend this tribesperson, you say, well, okay, I see that you believe that, but there's not really a volcano god. It's a geological, it's just that there's molten rock under the ground, and there are fissures, and sometimes they get up close to the surface. And no, I know you silly foreigners don't understand this stuff. But, you know, you just have to take our word for it. This is necessary. It's for the good of our tribe. We can't help it. We realize it's unfortunate. We don't like having to throw somebody in every month, but, you know, we have to. It's the only way we can survive. And you're trying to politely tell the person, no, it's evil. It's immoral. You're murdering people every month. And you don't need to. It's not necessary. It's not good. It doesn't help. Well, you know, we tried. 1 month, we didn't throw anybody in. And, you know, 2 weeks later, there was an earthquake. And a bunch of our buildings fell over, and there was death and destruction. A big crack opened up, and 100 of us fell in and died. So it's necessary, okay? Just take our word for it. And you say, look, okay, I believe you that there was an earthquake after you didn't do that, but I don't believe there's a connection. That's completely unrelated. That there's not a god of the volcano. The volcano isn't controlling the weather. It's not controlling the earthquakes. It's not controlling your crops. You shouldn't be doing that. It's bad. And eventually the guy in the tribe says, what do you know? You know, you're a stupid outsider. You don't know anything about us. You don't know anything about what we believe. And if you don't like it, if you don't like our culture, just get out. Get out of our jungle. Get lost. and you try to talk to them, how can you not see that what you're doing is insane and horrible and evil? You're killing people. I mean, if you just danced around and prayed to the volcano, okay, that would be one thing, but you're killing people. You're murdering human beings based on this lie. And the tribesfolk say, oh, shut up, get lost. So you do, and figure, I can't change their minds, I'm leaving. Now, you might wonder at some point, where did that lie start? Where did they get the notion that to survive, you got to fling someone into a volcano every month? Maybe somebody just sort of came up with a theory hundreds of years earlier and said, you know, I think maybe that big rumbling is a god and he's angry. Or maybe some guy in the tribe, some clever guy, thought, you know, if I can make them think that I can talk to the gods, I bet I can get a lot of power and influence out of that. If I can make them start doing these rituals as if there's a god in the volcano and as if I'm his spokesman, that's going to pay off for me. And maybe he did that, maybe he passed it on to his son, and maybe that went year after year, or maybe it was just somebody made it up. But eventually, it doesn't matter. Because eventually, the ones pushing the lie, the ones who teach the lie, are everybody, and they don't even know why. They don't understand that it's a lie, so they pass it on. And they are incapable of considering the possibility that it's a lie. Now, from our perspective, it's easy to look at the tribe and go, oh, how backwards and primitive and silly and irrational you are, believing this ridiculous myth about God of the volcano. We can ridicule them, we can insult them, and so on and so forth. But now, I'd like you to consider the second example. What lies do we not see because we all believe them? Because we all repeat them? Because we've all heard everybody we know repeating them over and over and over again? No, we don't believe in a volcano god, but what do we believe in that doesn't actually make any sense but that we've never questioned? In other words, what are the ways in which mind control has been used on us and we haven't noticed? For that example, we don't get to be the outsiders because we're in the group. So this example, an alien comes down to Earth. And he lands here and he's looking around and he comes across an Earthling. And the Earthling goes, ooh, you don't look like one of us. You're from another planet, right? And the alien says, yep, just thought I'd come down and see how you guys are doing and see what your civilization's up to. And the Earthling says, should I take you to our leader? And the alien says, to your what? You know, the guy in charge. The guy in charge of what? The guy in charge of everything. You have one guy in charge of everything? Well, it's not just one, it's a few. You know, government. Government. Well, you know, I came down to see your civilization and sure, show me this government thing. So you jump in the car and you drive to Washington, D.C. And they get out and the Earthling goes, here it is. And the alien says, okay, where? I'm not sure what I'm looking for. Well, it's all around us. This is where it all happens. Okay, where's this government thing? Well, it's all around us. This is where it happens. Well, I see this huge building here. Is that it? Well, that's the Capitol building. That's where government does its business. In there. Okay, but that's not government, that's just sort of its house or something. Yeah, that's right. That's where it does its thing. Well, could you tell me what this government thing, what does it look like? Like, describe it to me. Well, it doesn't really look like anything. I mean, you can't really see government as a thing. So it's like a gas or something that floats around that's invisible or it hides or something. No, it's not anything like that. It's hard to explain. You can't really see it. You can't really draw a picture of it. All right, well then let's try this approach. What does it do, this government thing? What does it do? Well, it makes the rules for all of us. It tells us what to do. And for those who disobey, it punishes us. Okay, so this thing tells you, human earthlings, what to do. It bosses you around, and if you disobey, it punishes you. It sounds sort of like a slave master. Oh, no. It works for us. It serves us. We're the boss. It tells you what to do and hurts you if you disobey, and you're its boss. Yeah, exactly. Okay, I'm having a little trouble with it. It gives you these rules. It's wise and gives you smart rules all the time, you mean? No, a lot of its rules are really stupid. And it makes us pay for things that they're destructive, they're idiotic, they're evil. So, this thing that serves you by making you do dumb stuff and making you pay for stuff you don't like. Yeah, well, we have to have it. It's necessary for society. So, is it just big and powerful and it can really squish you if you disobey and you're all just scared of this thing? Well, we're sort of scared, but we feel an obligation to obey the law. We're a law-abiding people. We go by the rules. But you just said the rules are sometimes stupid. Yeah, and sometimes we go by the stupid rules, but we have to obey. I mean, it's the law. We're obligated to obey. We can ask government to change the laws, but as long as it's the law, we have to obey. So you're obligated to do stuff that you think is stupid and destructive. Yeah, but we can ask it to please tell us to do smart things. Okay. Oh, there's a senator. Yeah, he's a part of government. See the guy? He's getting in the limo. That's a senator. What do you mean? The gray-haired thing, getting in the limo right there. Yeah. He's part of government. That's it. That's him. So this government thing, it disguises itself like earthlings to make it easier to deal with you. No, he's just a person. He's a human. He's the same as you, but he's government, and you're not. Is that it? Yeah. Well, he's part of government, and we just vote for them. Okay, so he's allowed to boss you around and even tell you to do dumb things, and you're obligated to obey him, even when you think the orders are stupid. Yeah, we can ask him to change his orders, but yeah, we have to obey. You're not allowed to boss him around and take his money, tell him what to do. Oh, no. They'd put us in cages if we did that. Okay, I'm having trouble with this because I look at you and I look at him. You're the same thing. You're the same species. You're one of this species and he's another one of this species, but he's government and you're not. And he's allowed to boss you around and you're not allowed to boss him around. I don't get, if you're the same thing, why you're not the same thing. Why are the rules different if you're both the same species? Well, maybe I should explain. He's not, all by himself, he's not government. Like, if he came over right now and said, give me $50 or I'll punch you, he's not allowed to do that. He doesn't have the right to do that. If he came over right now just on his own and told me what to do, he can't do that. He's only allowed to do these things when he's acting as government. So he's not government, he's acting as government. So he's pretending to be government? No, I mean acting on behalf of government. Okay, so he's not it anymore. He's not government. There's this other thing called government, and he's acting on behalf of it when he bosses you around and demands your money. Right? Well, yeah, he's a part of it, and he represents it. He's just their agent, sort of. Okay, so you can't really point to him. He's not government anymore. The building, that's not government. The guy, he's not government, he's just acting on behalf of it. And they give you these orders. Yeah, they're called laws, and there's whole libraries full of law books that tell us what we can do and what happens if we disobey. Okay, and they're not government either. They're just books. Yeah, they're just books. So you have the building that isn't government, the people that aren't government, the people who enforce it. Is that some different species? No, they're just humans too. Okay. You have enforcers, you have law books. None of them are government, but they all act on behalf of government, whatever it is. Yeah, well, sort of together they are, but sort of together they're not, really. Okay, these laws. Who makes them up? Government makes them up, and then, like, that guy writes it down? The guy who got in the limo? No, he makes it up. He makes up the rules. Him and a bunch of other politicians, they make up the rules, and then they have enforcers they hire to come put us in cages if we disobey. So he's making it up. He's the one thinking them up and writing them down. That human, the thing that's just like you, the human, along with other humans, they're the ones that sit down and make up these commands. Yeah, they make the laws. While claiming to be acting on behalf of a thing called government. Does that thing look like a volcano by any chance? No, why do you ask? Never mind. So humans make up these commands. They tell you to obey. You feel obligated to obey, even when you think they're stupid. I'm still having trouble recognizing the government because I can see all the ingredients you can point out. I can see the law books and the buildings and the enforcers and the politicians, but you keep saying it's something else, and you keep not being able to point to it. I mean, I understand, even back on my planet, we have like sports teams, and you can say that all these people are on the sports team, and together they make up a sports team. But what you're telling me is all these people in buildings, they're part of government, but they're not really it. There's something else that makes it government, and they're not it, but you can't really tell me what it is or where it comes from. So let's try a new approach. They give you these laws, these commands. They tell you what to do. Basically, they threaten you, right? They say you're going to do this or we'll hurt you. Well, yeah, but we don't really view it that way. It's the law of the land. We have to obey it. It's the law of the land. The dirt? The land makes the law? I thought that guy did. Well, yeah, but on behalf of the thing called government, on behalf of the country, he tells us what to do and hurts us if we disobey. Wait, didn't you say he works for you? He does this for your benefit? Yeah. For our benefit, he bosses us around and takes our money. Okay. So you feel an obligation to obey these commands, even if you think they're stupid. Like, can you give me an example of one of the commands that you think are stupid? You don't like, but you think you should go along with it anyway. Well, they make us pay taxes. They demand lots of money from us, and they pay for wars. They pay lots of people to go to the other side of the planet and kill a bunch of people. And I don't like paying for that. Okay, I can see how you wouldn't like that. Doesn't sound like a good thing to me the way you described it. But you feel obligated to give them your money. Like it's a bad thing if you don't. Yeah. You feel obligated to fund what you consider to be murder. You think it's bad for you not to fund murder. In a way. Okay, let me back up for a minute. Do you Earthlings, do you generally accept that stealing from each other and beating each other up and murdering each other for no reason, are you guys to the point where you kind of understand that that's not a good thing? Oh, yeah, we know that. You don't steal, don't attack, don't assault. Don't do that horrible thing. Okay. But when the guy who got in the limo, when he says, give us money so we can go kill people, you feel obligated to go along with it and to give him money. Well, that's different. That's not just somebody doing it. That's authority doing it. That's government doing it. Okay, now, I'm assuming you're just scared of this thing. It's a big, horrible, powerful thing. So, like, how many people does it take money from to pay for this war, among other things. About 100 million of us. 100 million of you. So it must have, 100 million enforcers to make you guys pay up. No, I think there are about 100,000 tax collectors for the federal government. So you outnumber them 1,000 to 1, but you still feel obligated to give them your money to fund things you think are evil. Well, yeah, we can ask them to change their commands, of course. We're allowed to ask them to tell us to do what we want them to tell us to do. Okay, so let me get this straight. You sent them there. You decided that some of you should go there and boss you around and take your money. And your goal is to pick somebody who's going to order you to do what you were going to do anyway. But what happens every time is he orders you to do something else, and then you try to make somebody else go there who's going to boss you around and command you to do things that are in line with your own beliefs and morals and things like that. Is that how it works? Yeah, pretty much. They boss us around, and we try to put people there who are going to tell us to do what we wanted to do in the first place. Okay, now, I realize I'm new to this planet, and this seems sort of strange to me, but I got to ask you a question. Instead of you trying to pick one of you to put there to boss you around and take your money in the hopes that he's going to do it and command you to do the things that you think are right anyway, why don't you do what we do on our planet, which is you do what you think is right, and that's all. On my planet, we have conflicts and stuff, but we each do what we think is right. We spend our own money. We make up our own decisions. Why would you try to take a person, put him in a position where he can force you to do something and try to get someone who's going to force you to do what you were going to do anyway? I don't get why you do that. Well, no, you can't have everyone deciding for himself what he's going to do. That's anarchy. There'd be chaos and mayhem, and you didn't have laws if you didn't have government. It's just, it would never work. It would never work. So, in order to keep you humans civilized, in order to keep you from attacking and stealing and murdering each other, you choose some of you to go over there who then attack you and steal from you and murder you so that nobody will attack you and steal from you and murder you, because if they didn't, somebody might attack you and steal from you and murder you. Is that right? Yeah, that about sums it up. See, we humans, if left to our own devices, we're untrustworthy. Some of us are just negligent, some of us are nasty, some of us would hurt each other. But you said you understand you shouldn't steal and murder and stuff like that. Well, yeah, most of us understand that, and most of us get along pretty well, but there are a few of us who they will steal and beat people up and even murder people. Right, I can see how that would be a problem. And so that's why we need government, because some people do that. So you need this thing that steals from you and bosses you around and occasionally murders people. You need that because sometimes a few people, not very many, might decide to steal from you and boss you around and murder people. So you need an organization that does that first so somebody else doesn't do it. Again, I'm new to this planet. I'm sorry I'm having a hard time understanding this. It's just, it's tough. Well, we're untrustworthy. We're imperfect. Like I said, mostly we get along, but there are those little problems, and we need somebody in charge. We need government in charge to keep us civilized. Okay, so I assume you put the wisest, most noble, most compassionate people into power so that they will use their wisdom to keep the rest of you in line. Still doesn't really make sense, but at least you have the best among you going there, right? No, actually, they're all a bunch of lying crooks. The ones you sent there, well, we don't try to elect lying crooks, but it always turns out that way. And that they always get caught doing nasty, horrible things, and they're constantly doing things we don't like with our money, whether it's, giving money to people who are already zillionaires, or waging war, or taking money from people who earn it to give it to people who didn't, or other things like that. Yeah, they are constantly doing that stuff. They're completely corrupt. They're a bunch of lying crooks. Okay, so let me see one last time if I can understand this. Because human beings are untrustworthy, some of them, because they're sometimes negligent or nasty, because there's the threat that some of your neighbors might boss you around or steal from you or even kill you, because of that, it is necessary for your survival to take some of the worst people among you and give them permission to steal from you, boss you around, and kill people. Does that about sum it up? Yeah, that's pretty much government in a nutshell. Okay, tell you what, we'll come back to your planet in a few hundred years and see if you have any grasp on reality by then. See you later. Alien flies away. This is the mind control that most people don't see. If you believe there is such a thing as government, you are the victim of mind control. Government is no more real than the volcano god. The guy in the limo, when he and his fellow lying crooks issue a command to you and all your neighbors, if you imagine that to be law, and imagine disobedience to his commands to be crime, you are the victim of mind control. If you actually believe that you can ever have a moral obligation to do the wrong thing, to fund something you think is evil, you are the victim of mind control. Now, the good news, if it can be called that, is so is everybody else around you. Because everyone else believes it. Everyone else takes pride in being a law-abiding taxpayer, which means I obey the lying crooks and I give them my money. Okay, not really a good reason to be proud, but oh well. The trouble is, I think a bunch of people in this room, they can see it. They understand that mind control and they can see through it and are now outsiders from that game. Most of the country isn't. Most of the country, if you tell them there isn't a volcano god, there isn't a government, will say, you're ridiculous, get out of here, we need it. Yeah, but it does nasty things, it kills people, it steals from you. Hey, if we didn't have that, there would be chaos and death and destruction. We need it. We can look at the silly tribe that believes in the volcano god, and how can you be so dumb as to throw a person into a volcano every month? But a lot more than one person a month gets murdered by the people who pretend to be our rightful rulers. If we were the tribe that worshiped the volcano god, we'd be miles ahead of where we are now. We can laugh at them, we can pretend that we're too wise for that, and then we can go vote for the next crook who's going to steal our money and clobber us over the head and tell us what to do and murder people. The fact that we all believe it, that we all repeat it, that we heard it in school, that we hear it from our parents, from our teachers, from people who care about us, it doesn't mean it's true. And the truth of the matter is, it's not that tough to demonstrate that the belief in government and calling the politicians' commands laws and calling their demands for money taxes, it doesn't make any sense. It makes less sense than believing in a volcano god. Because at least a volcano god, in order to prove there isn't one, you'd have to dig up the volcano and go, see, no god, just a bunch of molten rock. But it's very easy to go through lines of reasoning just on what people know already to demonstrate that the people who call themselves government cannot possibly have the right to rule. Just like the alien was baffled, they cannot possibly have any right that you don't personally have. If you don't have the right to tax, they don't have the right to tax. Because where would they have gotten it? If we all started as humans, all men are created equal, and suddenly Congress shall have the power to tax. What the heck happened in between? How did we get unequal again? Some are more equal than others. It's very simple to prove that everyone in this country at one point or another was a victim of mind control, but it's very difficult for them to see it because the lie is everywhere and they don't want to see that their entire life and their entire belief system is based on a lie. And the worst part is that this lie takes the virtues of good people. It takes their good qualities, their productivity, and their honor and turns it into fuel for some of the most evil people in the world. If it was merely dancing around a volcano, who cares? But the belief in government kills. It robs, it extorts, it assaults, it violates every right you could possibly imagine, including the right to be alive. This is why I refer to the belief in government as the most dangerous superstition. It's not just a rational construct. It's not just a way to organize and get along. It's not a way to cooperate. It's a hallucination of something that is not there, a group with the right to rule. Let me end on this. Government is the volcano god. And you can imagine if you just wandered through a jungle and found this tribe, how frustrating it would be to watch them throwing somebody into a volcano, somebody perfectly innocent, trying to explain to them their entire view of what that volcano is completely backwards. It's completely bogus. It's rock and lava. It's not a god. You don't have to do this. This isn't doing you any good. And it's easy to picture how frustrating that would be. And my question is, are we Americans any more open to reason than the volcano worshippers? Most of us aren't. And you can see that when you try to deprogram someone from their own lie, their own universally accepted lie. They don't believe in the volcano god, they just believe in something that's about 100,000 times more destructive. We can think we're smarter than that tribe as we murder tens of thousands of people at a time that haven't done anything to us. We can think we're smarter than that tribe as we imagine legitimacy to a group of people stealing trillions of dollars and doing destructive, evil, idiotic things with it. We are not sane beings until we accept that we each own ourselves. We do not behave in a sane manner as long as we believe in authority. Because when you believe in authority, you actually really and truly believe that you have an obligation to do what you think is wrong. Because whenever there's a conflict between your own judgment and authority, if you choose authority, you are choosing evil. And humanity has been doing it for a long, long time. It's why every war has happened. Every example of widespread oppression. It's because we imagine a thing that is no more real than a volcano god. Thank you.